Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jack. Back in to talk about the Dinars, how to purchase them, what to purchase your tokens on, and how it's all going to work for healers. So, first and foremost, if you're not up to date on it, on the week of May 13th, which is right now, players get a quest, and you have to defeat 4 raid bosses from the raid, or do 4 Mythic Plus dungeons. Once you do that initial quest, you get 3 puzzling Cartel Chips, okay? Every week after, you only get 1. You're able to turn in 3 of these, and they are going to buy you 1 specific item. Now, there's a bunch of rules around the item, but you're going to get enough of these chips on the week of the 13th of May, 3rd of June, and the 24th of June. Okay? The requirements are you can instantly, no matter what, once you get the quest, once you get the chips, you can buy any item you want on a heroic track level. Nope, no strings attached. If you want to get the Mythic track gear, you have to go kill that boss on Mythic difficulty. Not clear the raid or anything like that. You have to kill the specific boss you want. So if you want to get a Jaster Diamond, you got to kill Gallywix. If you want a Mugsy Jug, killing Gallywix won't give it to you. You have to go kill Mugsy in order to get the Mugsy Jug from the vendor and everything like that. Now, if you wanted to get a Mythic Plus trinket, you again can buy any hero Mythic Plus trinket that you want right off the bat, but if you wanted to get a Mythic track item, then you have to have the Resilient Keystones achievement, the Time All 12s. That is going to allow you to buy any Mythic track item. So your decision making is going to change a little bit depending on if you're raiding or you're Mythic Plussing. We'll go over that in just a sec. Max level is going to be 684 with all the additional upgrades that you have access to. And that's why when it comes to some of your initial decision making, buying weapons is pretty mediocre. In a lot of cases, it's better for you, even if it's on like a new character, to just craft a weapon instead, and then use your Dinar purchases on like trinkets and possibly the Jaster Diamond, because those are like the really, really super high priorities. So let's go over what specifically you're going to be looking for. Disc Priest should be no surprise, and actually basically every single healer is going to want a Mr. Pick-Me-Up. This trinket is really, really stupid insane. It's best in slot for raids, best in slot for Mythic Plus, and helps you so much for a lot of those really super high healing checks. So this is almost certainly going to be everyone's first purchase. And if you plan on never raiding and you're not going to kill Sprocketmonger, it would still be your best purchase from like a healing safety perspective on a hero track. So keep that in mind. It's really, really stupid good. Now, most healers, and we'll go over them like super quick, really want to get a pick-me-up. For Disc Priest especially, on high keys, you have the option between like Mugsy Jug or House of Cards as your like top 2 options. And that's where you've seen a few different Disc Priests running different setups and running different keys. Some people are dropping like Pick Me Up when they don't need it for the healing checks, but I think just for safety's sake, you should run it. I do like House of Cards for the control that it gives you, which is awesome. But if you're not playing around using it at specific moments, using it for specific healing, you're probably better off just getting a Mugsy Jug. When it comes to Holy Priest, you still want to get a Mr. Pick-Me-Up, but you really do want to get this Galagio bottle service. This is specifically for Mythic Plus, by the way. Specifically for Mythic Plus, the bottle service is like a nuts trinket that kind of gives you an extra healing cooldown very consistently. On the raid side, they want the Eye of Kazan. Multiple healers want this for raiding, and this is a raid-only trinket. I cannot emphasize this enough. Every single dungeon in our dungeon pool has downtime space where you will drop all your stacks, basically. It builds up over time. If you could forever chain pull, that would be great. But you're like crossing the lobby in like Cinderbrew Meadery, or you're flying in the mech in Mechagon, and like all these things. You always have downtime in every single key. Dropping from the roof in Rookery, that will just drop all your stacks when you're out of combat. So do not run that for dungeons, but very, very good if your primary focus and your primary goals are for raiding. Similarly, you're going to see with a few of the other healers, their setups are very, very similar. They like the Eye of Kazan in raids, and a lot of them are going to be running with the Mr. Pick-Me-Up trinket and keys. Some people have been running with like the Blazicon wax. I know Preservation probably doesn't have the deepest pool to be able to draw from onto that one, so we can also just check on like Mistweaver. They've been running like Light Shard for like damage purposes. I think that's good if you are confident with your damage and everything, but I probably would not recommend buying that with a Dinar. This is kind of one of those like yay high roll things you get out of your vault maybe. I think probably the most Safe things to be thinking about are like Pick Me Up and Moxie Jug for the average player, since they are automatic. They just proc, they just do their thing. And you can see Paladins at 19s, that's what they're going to be running. It is going to be worth, if you are not Mythic rating, to buy a Blazicon Wax instead of like a heroic Mugsy Jug, for example. So the Mythic Blazicon Wax should be a little bit better for most healers than buying a hero Mugsy Jug. You can always check on Questionably Epic if you want to compare the exact numbers and the exact percentage. I checked it for Disc and Holy, and I believe it was just slightly better to get that Mythic Track Wax, especially after they buffed it a little bit from the extra like bonus effect that you have on hand. Going down the line, we still have a couple more healers. Shaman is one of the very unique ones that them and Mistweaver Monks do not care about the Jaster Diamond. Now, we haven't talked about the Jaster Diamond yet, but the priority for you should be on these trinkets from the very beginning, especially if you don't have access to them. But if you, let's say, already have your hero trinkets and you might be somebody who does raids and Mythic Plus, and you're working on clearing Mythic, or you're a few bosses into Mythic and you probably won't clear, probably would be a good idea to pick up a heroic Jaster Diamond if you don't have one, because it's a super juiced up ring, as long as you're not a Mistweaver or a Shaman who just hate all that mastery. This is what I would get after you are comfortable with what trinkets that you have access to. That's a really important part of it. This is a super juiced up ring, super valuable and everything like that, but if you just have garbage trinkets or something like that, or you're gearing up a new character, it's almost certainly better for you to get a trinket first. And again, just a reminder, weapons, probably not that good to purchase. There are a lot of like extra cantrip effects that you can have, things like the best in slots that you'd have access to. It's a nice little extra effect, but you're not getting as much of a gain as just like going from a bad dungeon trinket to like a Mr. Pick Me Up or something along those lines. Even things like, Titan of Industry, or there's a main hand that drops off Mugsy for priests, like the mace, it's like the big hitter or something. Those things, they do a little bit of extra damage and everything that stack up over time, but it's not so much that you are just like trying to bust down the door to go grab these things. The Test Pilot Go Pack is really bad. You can just ignore that one. You don't have to worry about that. Again, my priority, and the priority I'd recommend for you guys, is trinkets based off the content you're doing the most, then focusing on the Jaster Diamond, and then kind of filling in any sort of need that you might have access to. We believe that you are going to be able to buy the miniature roulette wheel, but we don't know how that's going to work. And I think this is something we really want to see on patch day, whether you could buy this ring and it just randomly re-rolls a stat for you, and you could sell it back maybe a pipe dream, and you could just keep on doing that back and forth. This could be a really, really good area to get your perfect bis-statted ring. If you get this after you got your Jaster Diamond, if you cared about it, that could be your perfect bis combo. You could have all the stats you want, the perfect makeup of stats that you want. Could be really big. I'm sure somebody's going to test this out on patch day, so kind of keep an eye out for that. Maybe I'll have an update or something on my Twitch channel. We'll try to do that day one or something like that. We'll see. But that's going to be another one that you really want to see if you can like perfectly align your stats with whatever it is that you have going on. Last thing that came to mind, keep in mind we have horrific visions and everything like that coming up, and they're giving you corruption, basically. So big thing with the corruption system is they are giving you these little helm enchants, basically. And the helm enchants are just these extra enchants you apply that give you different buffs. Basically, for healing, you only care about Void Ritual because everything else is a damage proc. And all these stats have been kind of weak from what we saw before the season actually started or before the patch came in, but they might end up buffing these a little bit later. But basically, Void Ritual just buffs all your secondary stats, and getting secondary stats is good as a healer. You could potentially be going after, what is it? You could potentially be going after the Twilight Devastation, which does some AoE damage. But if I remember right, it was like 15 or 20 yards. So if you're a range player and you stand way back, even as a healer, it may not reach. There's also the issue of like drawing threat if it procs on pull, which can be really, really nasty if it does too much damage and everything just kind of aggroes to you in this Vengeance Demon Hunter meta. Keep that in mind. I think it'll be a lot safer to run with Gushing Wounds if you are really trying to optimize super heavily for your damage. You basically are just hitting targets and you're proccing the ooze effect onto them, add some extra damage and everything like that, and then you're good to go. It's pretty straightforward. I would definitely say look at getting your Void Ritual first, get it all set up, get it all squared away, and we are going to have some guides as well on my Wowhead pages going over how to do the Horrific Visions, and a lot of those are kind of like doing a quick dungeon. You can even do it by yourself, and there's a little like construct that you can have to go along with you if you're like a new player that'll help DPS things for you. If you're confident in what you're doing, though, you probably don't want to turn the construct on because it like buffs everything's health by a pretty large margin. So you can't really like autopilot it. But it didn't look like they were trying to make it too difficult, at least for the no mask runs, to actually get these corruptions after the beginning. So keep that in mind. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope you like this quick update on all the Dinars and everything you need to know for it. For the big write-ups and everything, every guide writer for Wowhead has submitted their Dinar recommendations. I'll have it linked in the description down below as well. Thank you for watching, guys. Big love to our patrons. And if you're enjoying this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Take it easy, guys.